Hello students, welcome to class. I believe you are with your writing material in order to take some notes, because the topic we have before us this hour is very important topic, and the topic is growth. Now, what are the lesson objectives? Now, by the end of this class, you should be able to define growth correctly. Now, the aspect of correctly says there are some definitions that you can give to growth that are not well spelled, but after the end of this lesson, you will surely understand the correct definition of growth, understand the basis of growth and the aspect of growth. Now, what is our previous knowledge? Now, in our previous class, we've discussed about how cells react to their environment, and few of the ways where cells react to the environment. When we talk about osmosis, remember we discussed about osmosis, but because about diffusion, plasmolysis, turgidity. Now, what is now the definition of growth? Growth can be defined as a permanent increase in cell size and number that takes place during the life history of an organism. Now, underline the word permanent increase. Why is it permanent? Because a child that is 20 centimeters tall this year cannot go back to being 10 centimeters tall next year. That is why the word permanent increase or irreversible increase. Look at the second definition. It says is an irreversible change in size of cells and plants. Now we move on to the next thing, and we now talk about what? The basis of growth. We have three major bases of growth upon which growth is established. Now, the first one we talk about is what? Cell division. Can you see after me? Cell division. Good. Now, from the word division is to what? To divide or to regenerate. So every cell divides or degenerates through a process called mitosis. Then we now talk about the various stages of mitosis. Now I give it an acronym called IPMAT. IPMAT. The I there represents interface. Now, from the diagram given to us there, the interface is also referred to as what? A resting stage. Now, at this stage, there is no cellular division that is being taking place at this stage. Is also called what? The resting stage. The second stage we now talk about is the prophase. Now, at this prophase, the chromosomes, they become what? They appear condensed, and the nuclear envelope is not apparent. That is, the nuclear envelope is disappearing gradually. And what's the function of this nuclear envelope? It encapsulates, it envelopes all the nuclear materials found in the cell. And the third stage here is when we talk about what? The metaphase. At the stage of the metaphase, the chromosome becomes thick, coiled, and each with two chromatids. And these chromatids, after pairing, they are now arranged at the what? At the equator of the cell. And the equator can also be called the metaphase plate. Altogether, it's also called what? The metaphase plate. Now, the fourth stage is what? The anaphase stage. Now, what happens at the anaphase stage? So, the chromosome that was initially arranged at the equator, at the metaphase, they now begin to separate. They begin to what? They begin to separate, and each separation now move towards the pole. As it is being illustrated in this diagram, now you see that this chromosome, they are now moving towards the right, and other ones moving towards the left. That is what happens at the what? At the anaphase stage. And at the telophase stage, which is the last stage, that's when we now talk about what? The complete separation, whereby the cytoplasm of the cell now begins to divide. And during this division is a process whereby it now results into what? Into a new daughter cell. Then we now talk about the complete division of the cytoplasm now results into a process called cytokinesis. Now this process of cytokinesis is still the same thing as what? Division of cell into two daughter cell. And this aspect of the two daughter cell, every component in each of these daughter cell, they are the same. They have the same materials inside of them. They have the same number of chromosomes. They have nuclear envelope. They have the nucleolus. Everything is in each of the daughter cell. Now take a critical look at this diagram very well. Now you see that the chromosome that has now appeared, they are now moving towards the pole. All together, they are moving where? Towards the pole of the cell. Now this is a process that happens in what? In mitosis, when all the components are now moving towards the pole, forming what? A new daughter cell. Then the second basis of growth is cell enlargement. So after a new daughter cell is now formed, what happens? They now begin to increase in size. And the third basis of growth is the cell differentiation. So after the cell have enlarged, that is after they've increased in size, so they now begin to differentiate into what? Into various functions. That is, the cell that belongs to the ear will move to the ear. The cell that belongs to the hand will move to the hand where it will perform its function. The cell that belongs to the leg will move to the leg where it also perform its function based on their particular function they want to exact in the body. That is where they are now being differentiated into. Are we together? So the first one is cell division, the second one is cell enlargement, and the third one is what? Cell differentiation. Then we talk about the aspects of growth. We have three major aspects of growth. We have increase in dry weight, we have irreversible increase in size and length, and we have region of fastest growth in plants. Now, what do we understand by increase in dry weight? From the word dry weight, that is, there is no presence of water, that is, water is absent in the organism. So how can we extract every amount of water or moisture in a plant or in an organism? By a process called heating, Heating. So during the process of this heating, every amount of water in the organism is escaped. But one of the disadvantage of this process is that it results into the death of the plant or the organism. Number two is irreversible increase in size and weight, and this is done by a continuous checking of the size and length or height of the organism. That tells us that the particular organism is growing. And the third one is what? The region of fastest growth in plants. Now, at this region of fastest growth in plants, we take a critical look at the structure of a root. What do I say? We take a critical look at the structure of a root. Now, in the structure of the root, we have three major regions. We have region of maturation, we have region of elongation, and we have region of meristematic activity. And this region of meristematic activity is also called the region of cell division. So those are the three regions that happens at the region of fastest growth in plant. Now this region of meristematic activity, also called the region of cell division, if you take a critical look at a root that, take for instance now, you uproot a plant softly from the soil and you observe the root tip, what do you observe? You see that there is a very tiny edge of the root. That is what? The root cap. That is where development, that is where growth occurs in what? In plants. Are we together? That is where what? Growth occurs in plants. So that root cap, it is very soft, very fine in nature. So that's where the word growth occurs in plants. So this is what? A period of what? Fastest growth in plants. I hope you've learned something new, and I hope you've taken down your notes. So under this lesson, we've discussed about the definition of growth. We've discussed about the basis of growth, which are cell division, cell enlargement, and cell differentiation. And also we've talked about the aspects of growth, and under that we talk about increase in dry weight, irreversible increase in size, and we talk about the region of fastest growth in plants. So I believe you've all understood what growth in organism is, and please attempt questions that is under this video, and we shall see in our next class. Students, I hope you've learned. Thank you for listening. Bye. See you in our next class.